Hi guys, in today's video, I'm going to be sharing ways for international students to stay in the United States after their degree. So if you're familiar with F1 visa, you know that as long as you stay in school, your status remains valid and you can continue to stay in the United States as a student. But the moment you graduate, you have to find alternative path to remaining in the country if that's your long-term plan or long-term goal. Because unlike other countries like Canada or Australia, United States does not really offer a clear path for students to go from being on student visa to being a permanent resident in the United States. But there are ways. It's not just a clear path. But I'm going to go through those ways and how you can navigate the process depending on where you're from and the type of degree that you got and the type of job that you do and your long-term plan. There are four main things that you can do as an international student that is trying to secure permanent residence in the United States. You need a green card. That's the only way to stay in this country for a long time, for a long period of time without being a citizen. So whatever you do, your first step or your first path is ensuring that you have that green card. And you can get green card in like four main ways as an international student. Number one, you can go through the employment route. It's called EB visa, employment-based visa, and that is divided into various categories. I'm going to go into details of the categories or the subcategories of employment-based visa much later in this video. The second option is through family-based visa. And essentially, like this name implies, if you're married to an American or to a legal permanent resident, you can also get green card through that route. And the third route is through diversity visa lottery. Depending on where you're from, it's a long shot, but I've seen people win visa lottery while they're on F1 students in the United States. So it's a long shot, but it's worth trying, and it's an option that is open for anybody that is from an eligible country. And the fourth method is through asylum. I'm not going to go into a lot of details for this because it's a very rare situation, but in case you find yourself like you're in a country that is not safe and you're from a country that is not safe and then you're in the United States, you can essentially file asylum to stay back in the country. For this, I typically would suggest that you consult a lawyer, an immigration lawyer that does that for a living, because it's a very complicated process and you don't want to do like a DIY for this kind of situation. But for the first three parts that I mentioned, which is the family-based, the employment-based, and the diversity visa lottery, I'm going to go into more details for each of those in the next chapter of this video. So let's talk about the employment-based visa. This is probably the most popular way for international students to stay in the United States. And the path for employment-based visa is not very straightforward. First, I'd like to point out that the employment-based visa is of three categories. We have EB1 visa, EB2, EB3. So once you're done with school, the first thing you want to do is apply for your initial OPT. If you're a science student or science, technology, engineering, math, you're qualified for STEM OPT afterwards, which is good because that sort of gives you enough time to plan the whole thing. But either ways, you're done with school, you apply for your initial OPT. That initial OPT allows you to work for 12 months. So what you want to do is make sure or do your best to get a job with a company that offers sponsorship. That's the first part if you're looking towards employment based. So you get your initial OPT and then you exhaust your OPT while you talk to the employer to check if they will file for your sponsorship or not. Some companies will say, yeah, we'll file for your sponsorship, but we'll move you to like an immigrant intent visa. So something like H1B visa. They wouldn't file for green card for you immediately. They probably put you on H1B visa. That's not a bad path too, because for you to qualify for green card, your employer has to show that there are no Americans that is essentially qualified for that particular job that you're applying for. So they would most probably put you on H1B visa. An H1B visa can last for 6 years, and within those periods, you are gaining so many experience that is very unique to you in such a way that when they file the labor application, it's called PARM, P-R-M. When they file that document to get certified to apply for your green card, they can prove that you're the only person that can do that job at that particular point in time. So you get a job, get initial OPT, your employer can decide the route to go through, either EB1, EB2, or EB3. So you get H1B visa and then they decide the path to put you on. So aside from your employer filing for you, there are other ways to go about getting an employment-based visa. You can also do what is known as self-petition. I made a video about NIW path to green card for international students. You can check that video. I'm going to link it in the description box or somewhere. And the idea is that if you have an advanced degree and you have proof to show that you're in a position to achieve a particular endeavor that is going to benefit the United States, you can leverage that and ask the USCIS to allow you to stay in the country. And if they see that your case is genuine and you have things that you're trying to achieve that can only be achieved in the United States, and you have an advanced degree and your story is credible, you get approved and you get a green card. That's known as NIW. It's EB2 NIW green card, which means you're self-petitioning. You're not waiting for your employer to do that. And your employer can also file EB2 for you. It's just not the NIW version. It means like the employer is filing for you because of your advanced degree and your experience. And EB3 does not need an advanced degree. It is open to people, professionals, and other form of workers. You can take advantage of that if you don't have a master's degree or a PhD. And EB1 is usually very difficult to get in the sense that it's for like professors and researchers and people that are of exceptional ability. And that word sounds simple, but it's always very difficult to prove that. You need to show like hard words, you need to show all those things to establish the fact that you're a huge value contributor in your field. You're not pursuing an endeavor, or you're not proposing an endeavor. You've made mark, and you need to prove that. And you can prove that. If you can prove that, you get the EB1 visa. So that's basically a big overview of the employment-based category. Either go through the EB1 path if you have the qualification for a professor or a researcher or like an executive manager for a multinational company. That's probably the path that your company will take for you. EB2, if you have an advanced degree and you have significant amount of experience, your employer can take that path to apply for you. Or you can do a self-petition through the NIW program where you are claiming that you have an endeavor, and then you're claiming to have an endeavor, and the endeavor is going to benefit the United States in the long run. So that's another path. And the last but not the least is the EB3 category, where you don't need an advanced degree. It's generally for professionals and other class of worker. You can take advantage of that. Your employer can leverage the EB3 visa to get you a green card in the United States. Again, typically, employers don't file for green card immediately. What they do is put you on a work visa, either an O visa or H1B visa. And then when you exhaust that H1B visa and O visa, before you exhaust it rather, they set you up for green card, and then you can get your residency from that path. The family-based green card is also another clear path to residency for international students. Let's face it, most people that come here for college are young and single, and there is a very high chance that you're going to find somebody that you like in college. You're going to hang out with people, you fall in love, you get married to them. If they happen to be a US citizen or a legal permanent resident in this country, then they can petition for you to stay in the country. And that is known as the family-based category. Now, there's a distinct difference between getting married to a United States, US citizen, and a legal permanent resident. US citizens both can file for you anyways, but there is the process is not very similar when it comes to the processing, because if you're married to an American, as an immediate family member, there's always a visa available for you. What that means is that you don't need for your date to be current. You can file your you can get married today, file your petition today, and then you can submit all the other documents that you need, like the I-130, which is petition for alien relative, and then you can submit your I-485 concurrently, which means you can submit your adjustment of status and petition at the same time, and it gets approved and you get your green card. That takes probably like 1 year, 2 years, depending on where you're filing from. But if you're married to a legal permanent resident, they have to file the I-130 for you, and then when that gets approved, you have to wait for the dates for your country to be current, because it's not, you can't do it concurrently, so you have to wait for a while. So it depends on where you're coming from. Sometimes it takes like 6 months, sometimes it takes 8 months or thereabout. The caveat here is that while you're waiting, you don't want to go out of status, especially if you're married to a legal permanent resident, because if you go out of status, you have to go outside of the country before you can come back inside. So do your best or plan accordingly to make sure that you don't go out of status. If your spouse or your partner is a legal permanent resident, do your best to make sure that everything is done in a way that you still have your F1 status or your STEM OPT or OPT while you're waiting for response for your petition. And an easy way to do that, if you run out of work visa and such, is to go back to school while you're waiting for the response from your petition. And last but not the least is the diversity visa lottery. This is a long shot. And some countries are generally excluded from the process because they've sent enough number of immigrants to the United States in the past couple of years. So if your country is not on the list, there's no way forward in that path. But if your country is on the list, there's nothing wrong with you trying your luck. I've seen people get lucky and get the diversity visa lottery even as an F1 student in the United States. So you never can tell. That's a path for itself. A bonus point I would also like to mention is that you can explore what is known as the investment visa, which I know 99.9% of people that are listening to me here would not be qualified for that. But who knows? I'm just going to throw that out there. If you have money, if your parents have money, a huge ton of money, think of like almost $1 million, you can apply as an investor and then you get a green card and then you get to stay. A long shot. I mean, it's a straight path, but it's a long shot for most people because how are you going to raise $900,000? Anyway, that's all I have for you in today's video. And the most important thing really is to always keep your status, regardless of the path that you're going through. Have a plan to always keep your F1 status until you're able to adjust your status completely. And in another video that I'm going to be making very soon, I'm going to be talking about how F1 students can leverage their residency and their work experience in the United States to get approved for Canada Express Entry Program, which is something that I've seen people explore all the time. I have friends that have done this, and I think it's also a very clear path to stay in either US or Canada, to stay in Canada when you're done with your program in the United States. And if you like the content of the video, do not forget to subscribe. Do not forget to give the video a thumbs up and drop comments if you have friends or questions as regards to navigating the process of going from F1 visa to green card. And I'll see you in the next video.